Well, beautifully said. You know, prayer is a technique that moves us into a theta state, and that state, that brainwave state, is what you're referring to, is really the gateway.
Yes, absolutely. You're absolutely right on that. I agree with you. And there are also places on the earth that that we consider sacred sites, power nodes that have always been recognized by the more tempestural societies that were closer in touch with nature, that have always sort of carried, because of their geologies and mineralogies, a higher ability for us to vision, and it is because, in part, that they had this anionic to cationic ratio that facilitates the opening of the pineal.
Well, now that brings up an interesting sidetrack, or maybe where we'll go next, is these sacred sites. It seems to me there's multiple overlays. You know, a sacred site that is a place of reverence, where many people have brought the energy of heart and respect and sincerity, offers one type of vibration. But what you're referring to, this ratio, is a unique attribute. You know, I'm thinking it's not at all of the sites. And specifically, I guess the question I would ask you, James, is that at your website, and for our listeners, that's earth-keeper.com, earthkeeper.com, one of the things that you have is a listing of sacred sites around the world.
And you bring up an excellent point. And I think that the coronal mass ejections that are completely filling our atmosphere now with this different ratio of anions to cations is now becoming available at all sites. But you are absolutely right. There are certain mineralogies that have always offered this, and other ones that offer a different type of collection of what I would call life force. And there's different aspects to that. There is the mineralogy, there is the human element, and there is the geometry, the latitudes and longitudes. The idea that certain latitudes, because of their placement on the sphere of our Earth, offer a higher degree of energy.
Yes. And so it's, regardless, each being needs to find their way. And whether we start opening the doorways of perception, whether we start opening the doorways of our higher consciousness through devotion, through a vibrational lift, through activating the pineal, we're all headed the same direction. We seek to have this direct communion.
And that I have to jump in, because first of all, we need a feminine voice. But what I want to jump in with is I want to tie this back to today also, because from the chakra vastu science, which is something that we teach, and I love how this is all overlaying so beautifully. Last week ended a week of fire. And of course, as that stabilized the solar plexus, what's happened is that, and especially today, here we are. And what I'm hearing both of you talk about is really about the heart. It's about sincerity. It's about love. It's about presence. And it's about diving into our infinite nature without hesitancy. Yeah. And these coronal ejections, the support, last week was all about the sun. And the sun gave and gave and gave. And this week is about the air, our breath. Can we breathe in this gift? And whenever we're in this energy, whenever we're in the energy of these heightened states, our heart can be more receptive, and we can call in our own sacred space simply by being open through our own heart.
And that's beautifully stated. I once, in a channel session, had someone ask Archangel Metatron, what is the most powerful sacred site on our planet? And Metatron's answer was, the most powerful sacred site on the planet, each of you carry with you. It's called your heart.
Yeah, beautifully.
Yeah, well said.
What a beautiful response, and what a beautiful reminder that as we're talking about all of these beautiful aspects of what's coming forward on the planet right now, the presence of co-creation exists for everyone. And the more that that is modeled, the more that that is demonstrated, the more that that energy is liberated, because I think the energy of co-creation has been kind of constrained. The more that that energy is liberated through a conscious awareness, the faster we can marry, and I really want to use the word marry, science and spirit, because there's been this disconnect between science and spirit. It's kind of been an either or. And as we move into 2015 and beyond, it seems that we're at a time where we can really start bringing this together in a way that serves the greater heart of humanity. Have you witnessed that, James?
Yes, it's as if religion has omitted the scientific, and scientific has not included the sacred. And it is now time to bring them together in the integral circle, to bring them both together. You know, one of the most amazing quotations that I like to refer to comes from Edgar Cayce in one of his readings. And someone had written him a letter back in the 1930s saying that her son did not seem a particularly religious person, and what could she do to increase his spirituality or his interest in that? And Edgar Cayce came back and said that the purpose of God coming to the earth, or the Christ energy coming to the earth, was never to form religion, but rather to create love, to teach love. He said that humanity can learn as much about the nature of Creator God from science as they can from religion, because the two are interlocked. And so and Metatron refers to love as the science of ascension. And so it is just such an interconnected thing, and it is as though I refer to December 21st, 2012, exactly 2 years ago, as the beginning of year one of the new Earth. And so we are now completing year two and moving into year three. And I think what has defined that occurrence, many people look around and say the Earth hasn't, we haven't ascended. Look at what's happening around the Earth. And the answer that I give is that humanity did not ascend on December 21st, 2012. The Earth expanded. The Earth, in a manner of speaking, ascended to 12 dimensions. And everything is working together to allow us now to understand our divinity, to understand our multidimensionality, and for us to now create the new Earth in coherent meditation together.
Well, that's beautiful. And one of the things I want to remind our listeners is that ascension is not obligatory. While we are all lifting, we are also given choice. We're also given the capacity to align at whatever level we may choose will nourish us in our journey.
Well, and as you say so beautifully, Sri, ascension does not happen to us. It happens through us.
It happens through us. And I love your words around year one, year two, because year three is where the toddler begins to start making sense out of the world and realizes there's opportunity.
Well, And I love that the first 3 months, January, February, March, when we hit it that third month of 2015 is when things really start moving forward. I mean, so much ahead.
And listen, I'd like to move to our phone lines for a moment before we take our first commercial break.
Let's do that.
So why don't we head to line 2 and we'll welcome Brandon from Colorado.
Namaste, beloved.
Hello, guys. How are you guys doing?
We're doing great. Welcome to the show.
This is my second time calling. The last time I called was around 2008 or 2009, I believe. You gave me a very powerful message. You told me that you saw me with an Egyptian necklace, and then it was like very heavy, and I can't remember exactly the words you told me, but it sparked something in me. I went to massage school a couple of years later, and I've just been on this like journey of like trying to do energy work and been trying to do my own business, and it's kind of hard. So I was just wondering if you could do like a mini soul reading.
Well, thank you for that honor. I would love to do it. And it's so nice to hear you again, Angel. You know, as I connect with you today, of course, never any accident when you get through on the show. And today is such a powerful day of manifestation, co-creation, as we've been talking about the beauty of prayer. What I get for you is confidence that the gift you need to call to yourself is the confidence to trust what your intuition has already guided you to do. You have the skill, you have the capacity, you even have the network around you. However, there is this little voice inside of you that's getting that you are competent, you are able, and you are ready. And so today, and I love that you got through today, I would encourage you to take some quiet time and to invoke within the divine stream of confidence that is yours. And then starting immediately tomorrow, remember, we're in a week of infinite nature. Starting immediately tomorrow, make a list. Who do you need to talk to? What do you need to do? What are the resources you have, and what are the resources that you are needing to follow through? And I keep hearing the number 3 around you. 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months, and I think you'll see a dramatic shift in getting your business up and running. You have the resources. It's just about trusting yourself a little bit more. And I'm really grateful that you called in today. I think it's a very powerful day for you. And before we complete, James, did you want to jump in? Is there anything you'd like to share?
Well, just that he lives, Brandon, did you say you live in Colorado?
Yes, I do.
That's an incredible place to be, and a wonderful environment to be in. It's a beautiful energy, and I think that the reading that Kara has just given you is perfect, and you seem to have a really, really wonderful energy. One last point that I might add, and it ties in with the multidimensional aspect. Many of us on the path have had past lifetimes as priests, as monks, as nuns, and we took poverty vows. And now in this new energy, all of our multidimensional lifetimes are more in sync, and they're actually occurring on the other side of the veil at the same time. And so what Metatron tells people is if you have 10 lifetimes thinking that money is the root of all evil, and now you're in a lifetime where you have to create that money, which is just energy, it's neither positive or negative, it's what you do with it. But if you have 10 lifetimes simultaneous, believing that money's the root of all evil, and one that's trying to bring in abundance, you have to go into the heart, to the center of the soul, and change that belief that money is neutral, that money is simply energy, and it's what you do with it. Because if you're being outvoted 10-1 in simultaneous time, you're being outvoted. So just remember that we always, in the current now time, can go to the seat of the soul and change past beliefs that may have been appropriate at that time, but not necessarily in the new paradigm.
So, Brandon, thank you for calling. Let that in. It's a wonderful day to move into that meditation.
Absolutely.
To move into the surrender, to say, I choose abundance, I deserve, I am worthy.
And I am confident.
And indeed. And from that place to start outlining your action steps of what are you guided to do next. James, thank you. Brandon, thank you for calling. And to all of our listeners, thank you for listening.
Oh, indeed, because we're going to take a short break and we have so much show to go. So stay with us.
We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back. We are delighted to be with you.
We really are. And thank you for tuning in to the Voice of Passionate Action here at Sri and Kara Live on this extraordinary Mega Solstice Sunday with our special guest, James Tyberron. We have been having quite a conversation. We talked about this X-class solar flare that was going on yesterday, the coronal mass ejection, what's happening on the planet now. I mean, Sri, we need to just dive in. And I also want to mention, we have some people that have sent us questions. We have callers. Big show, little time. Let's do it.
Well, first and foremost, one of the things that James brought up earlier that I just want to kind of wrap around one more time is that when we have an alignment, such as what's going on today on this beautiful solstice day, what the alignment offers is a gateway to the divine.
I just like those words.
You know, it's not that the divine has ever been hiding. It's not that our capacity
depends on who you ask.
is, you know, the idea of ascension, the idea of lifting your eyes upward, activating the pineal, and being in that crystalline chamber. All of these capacities have always been available, and yet there are alignments. There are times when, let's just say, the current is flowing in your favor. And today is one of those days where the current of all that is flowing in your favor.
Well, as you guys know, Sri and I are sitting here in Guatemala, and as I look outside right now at the sun and the breeze and the water, it's like, okay, I'm going to go jump in the pool. I want to be one of those currents. I want to float on the current. I love it.
And the other thing I just want to mention, because we talked about theta states earlier, is that when one is in a theta brainwave state, we are in that bridge place between, call it the wisdom of the pineal together with the memory of the conscious brain, because your identity, your ego, is all lined up in the beta state. It's all lined up in the conscious mind, and it lets a little of the superconscious come in. However, it's mostly wrapped around what we call the conscious mind.
Right.
So consider for a moment that when you enter a theta state, you are given the enrichment to redefine who you are and where and what you're about, where you're going. And this theta state cannot happen if you don't relax. So relaxation, being able to listen to your heart, to listen to the voice of the divine, puts one in a sacred corridor.
And as a matter of fact, we're going to try and culminate. Well, we will be culminating today's show with exactly that. We're going to be doing a brief but very beautiful and very uplifting meditation for the highest good and world peace on this Mega Solstice Sunday.
And let's jump in and say hi to another caller, and then we'll continue exploring our conversation. So we're going to jump to line 5 and welcome Suzanne from Ottawa.
Namaste, Suzanne. Welcome, dear one.